Good evening to you all, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all for this week's weekly market presentation by SC Securities. So, let me start off with this week's market performance, and then I will continue to look at the Treasury yields, what happened to yields this week, and also some insights from Sri Lankan economy, and of course, some information or news regarding the international market front as well. So, looking at the market performance, the Colombo Stock Exchange performance for this week, as you can see on the screen, market continued to decline from its previous week close, and during the sessions from Monday to Thursday, both the indices SPI and S&P SL index declined. Just to stay slightly above from the 7,000 benchmark level. So looking at Monday's trading session, the index lost 97 points. SPI lost 97 points to close at 7,359.55, and the S&P SL 20 index also lost 35.18 to close at 2,345.08. So the negative sentiment continued up to Thursday, whereas by the close of Thursday's trading session, SPI stand at a value of 7,057.86, whereas S&P SL 20 index reported a value of 2,228.9, with losing 18 points from its previous day close. So this negative sentiment was basically caused by the rising fuel shortage. As you all see, there were long queues for fuel stations to get people's vehicles tanks refilled, and with this rising fuel shortage that has negatively impacted for majority of the industries in Sri Lanka, especially very recently the tea association or the participants from the tea industry has declared their inability to fulfill the demands from overseas without having enough fuel to operate their machines. And apart from that, investor sentiment was further hammered by the delaying of IMF staff level agreement because they have some concerns regarding Sri Lanka's debt restructuring programs, and some initiatives need to be taken place with regards to eliminating Sri Lanka corruption and also wastage. So, with these concerns, the grant of the final conclusion regarding the IMF staff level agreement has further extended up to August 2022, which was initially was expecting to come up or initially expecting to conclude by the June this year. So, and apart from that, apart from these situations relating to or pertaining to Sri Lanka's economy, the CBSL, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, has made their decision to go for another possible rate hike by another 100 basis points, as it was mostly expected by majority of the analysts and also investors from the market. So with that, the sentiment was further damaged, and the decline in the Thursday's trading session was basically attributed to that. But however, during Friday's trading session, there was a slight pickup. SPI managed to gain 22 points just to close at 7,080.69, and S&P SL 20 index also gained 15 points to close at 2,244.83. If we have a look at the turnover levels, the turnover for this week started or initiated at around a value of 1.3 billion, but that was gradually declined just to report 386 million by the very end of this week during Friday's trading session. So with of a slight positivity, foreigners continued to collect. So as of that, net foreign inflow was reported for another week, which was a value of 243 million. But however, for this week, SPI declined by 5.05%, whereas S&P SL 20 index also declined by 5.69%. So far for this year, SPI is said to have recorded a loss, or it has lost 40%, nearly 40% of its gains. And if we have a look at the Treasury yields, so during this week's trading, the Treasury auction, all the 3 years, that was of the 3-month yield, 6-month, and 12-month yields, has increased by over 400 basis points, and that gives the speculation to majority of the investors that central bank is going to go for another rate hike at the monetary policy review meeting the next day. So as of that, the 3-month yield was now standing at 28.08%, and the 6-month yield at 28.74%, and 12-month yield stood at 28.11%, very much closer to 30% level. So exchange rates, when we look at the Sri Lanka rupee, was slightly depreciated against US dollar, but anyhow managed to appreciate against GBP, EUR, and GPY. So looking at the key economic news for this week, as I mentioned previously, the top of the town was the CBS rate hike. So the Monetary Board of Central Bank of Sri Lanka has decided to increase the key policy rates by another 100 basis points each. So as of that, the standing deposit facility rate is now determined at a level of 14.5%, whereas standing lending facility rate is standing at 15.5%, 100 basis points increase from its previous percentages. But however, statutory reserve ratio remained unchanged. Though this is denoted to be the first rate hike after April, which the central bank has previously increased its policy rates by a straight 700 basis points. The hawkish policy decisions by rest of the global central banks, and the notable economic downturn in Sri Lanka, and also the external sector pressures due to the depreciation of rupee, was concerned when arriving this decision. It is also mentioned by the CBS governor at a media briefing that official interest rates are most likely to be increased up to 70% by the end of this year. However, these policy measures and alongside the normalizing global commodity prices and supply conditions are mostly expected to taper the inflationary pressures within the country. And CBS governor also raised his voice regarding Professor Hanks from US. His inflation figures mentioned in Sri Lanka is it was some kind of an unacceptable number, and the CBS governor further mentioned that Sri Lanka is using internationally accepted standards in measuring inflation. So as of Sri Lanka's national statistics country's CCPI based inflation for the month of June has picked up to 54%, whereas Hanks is measuring our country's annual inflation rate as 113.16%. Then there was an talk about the loss incurring state-owned enterprises in Sri Lanka. So the top 5 state-owned enterprises in Sri Lanka have reported an accumulated loss of 931 billion rupees just for the first 4 months in the year 2022. Majority of the losses are attributable to the soft peg collapse after 2 years of monetary printing. The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation has reported a loss of 628 billion, out of which 541 billion is solely owned by foreign exchange loss. Sri Lanka Airlines, following CPC, has incurred a loss of 248 billion, and Ceylon Electricity Board incurred a loss of 47.19 billion. And Airport and Aviation Services, popularly known as AASL, has lost 6 billion so far for the first 4 months of this year, and Sri Lanka Transport Board also incurred a loss of 599 million. So apart from these figures, a majority of the SOEs have incurred losses for these so far, and these entities are getting huge critiques from the society for the time being for their mismanagement and for being a mere burden, even though they have the capacity to earn massive profits. So that was a huge concern in the country. And let me take you to the international market front. So recession fears further drag down commodities. As of that, oil prices, gold, and altogether the copper prices declined for this week as well. Oil prices had a volatile session on Friday. That the decline was basically driven by the political recession. And the gold prices also headed for its fourth weekly loss due to the easing of dollar and with the some expectation over Federal Reserve to go for rate hikes. And but however, aluminium prices increased for the week. That was basically due to investor sentiment picked up after a positive speech from a Federal Reserve official with his expectations for a soft economic landing with a possible rate hike of 50 basis points by September. And looking at the global financial markets, the decline in commodities was basically aided to perform the global financial markets. The majority of the market ended up with weekly gains, but the gains were slightly shed by US job data, the expectations regarding US job data, and the attack that was caused on Japan's former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe on Friday. So these particular two reasons has caused some kind of a negativity to global markets. But anyhow, majority of them ended up with weekly gains. That's basically from my end. From here onwards, I would like to hand it over to Harin.
Thank you, Sachini. So let's look at WTI crude oil for this week. What has happened to the price of oil during the past few days and weeks? So as we can see, we had a somewhat bullish momentum where the price went up to around 123. So it near to the daily resistance of 119, 121, and then suddenly the price started to decline. So looking at from the technical perspective, what we can see is now the price of oil is slightly declining, and that inclining trend line that we had previously has been broken out, and now in a descending formation, going in a declining formation now. So we had some sort of a low at the level of 95.13, which was actually recorded on 6th July 2022. The price went above the daily support level 100, 102 again. So 100 being another psychological area. And if the price maintains its momentum above the daily support level 100, 102, we'll be able to expect it again reaching the daily resistance 110, 112 once it is above both the moving averages, 18 and 8 moving averages. So at the moment it is somewhat below the moving averages, so this could be certainly a lower high formation creating, or even if it breaks the daily resistance 110, 112, then we might be able to see the momentum continues again towards the daily resistance 119, 121, as we might see some sort of a consolidation happening over the area of 100, 112, or suddenly we might be able to see it reaching again the daily support level 100, 102, and further the previous low, which was not recorded 95.13, could be tested again. So the RSI is in the mid-range still, and likewise I said the EMAs include EMAs actually shows a bearish momentum still, since the price is trading below the moving averages. But looking at the 8 moving average, it is somewhat trading above the 8 moving average, but looking at the 18 moving average, the price is still below the 18 moving average. So as we can see previously, whenever the price was actually trading above the moving averages, we had a bullish momentum, and now since the price is trading below the moving averages, we can see a declining momentum towards the price of oil. So looking at all share index, last week I clearly mentioned that if the price manages to break 7,308.91, which was actually low, low, which was recorded on June, the month of June. So the index managed to break that key level and further decline towards the daily support level 6,956, 7,000. But the index on Friday, we were able to see it actually making a small bullish candle. So this could be actually an inverted hammer. And on Monday, we might see another bullish candle appearing, and we might see some sort of a correction towards the upside once again, reaching towards the level of 7,300. And but however, looking at it from the moving averages and with the current bearish momentum, we might see it further declining towards the daily support level 6,957,000, that key level. And further, if it breaks the daily support level, we might be able to see it reaching the level of 6,724.39, which was actually recorded on April. So the April low could be actually tested once again if it breaks the daily support level and the psychological area of 7,000. So at the moment, it's still in a bearish momentum. So we might be certainly see certain highs creating, certain highs creating, and the level of 18 and 80 MA levels could be once again tested. So looking at our top pick of the week, which is LIOC. LIOC made significant highs, and the price actually made a new high of 87.8, which was recorded on July 4th. And after making that certain high, the price actually started to trade below the daily resistance 77.580, 80 being another psychological area. But looking at from the EMA, still the price seems to be trading above the 18 EMA. So this indicates that the price actually could test the daily resistance 77.580. And if it breaks that key area of 80, we might be able to expect the price moving towards the July 4th high, which is 87.8 once again. And further, making a test or breaking the recent high 87.8, we might be able to see it reaching the daily resistance 92.5. The worst case scenario, the price could actually consolidate in between the daily support level of 65.80, or else if the price declines again from the daily resistance 77.580, we might be able to see it coming towards the daily support 65, 67.5, and break out from the inclining trend that we have, where we had significantly higher high formations, higher low formations, higher high formations. But breaking this inclining trend line could direct the price towards the daily support level 65, 67.5. So at the moment, the price is actually trading in between the daily support level of 65 and the daily resistance of 80. So thank you. That's it from my end. I hope you'll have a wonderful weekend.